Are you really recording, Craig?
I don't care anymore.
Half the time he does. Half the
Time he
time he
does,
doesn't.
half the time he doesn't. 100% of the time,
Yeah.
it's all flavor.
60% of the time it fails every time.
100% of the time, it fails it every time. So,
So
how you doing, man?
I'm good. I am Jay, the Grumpy
And
Dungeon Master.
I'm Christopher.
Also a grumpy dungeon master, and we tend to be pretty grumpy lately. I'm still pissed off about all the money grabbing going on with WotC. That's going to be
Oh,
that's going to be a regular theme with me, I think, for the next while.
so I do have to say that I am quitting. Not Dungeons and Dragons. I'm quitting. Lord of the Rings fandom.
Oh, completely?
100%. No longer am I going to enjoy Lord of the Rings. I'm going to have my Frodo tattoo removed. It's bad.
Hold on,
You know.
hold on, hold on. You have a Frodo tattoo?
Yeah. It's down.
Is
It's
it?
down
Is
at my.
it? It's got to be tiny.
Well, it's down at my ankle, and it says we have a long journey ahead of us, Sam. And at the very top of my head, underneath my hair, I have Mountain Doom, where
Oh,
they throw the
okay.
ring, because they're
Yeah.
gonna have to journey all the way up to toss in the ring.
Huh. Oh,
Yeah.
you know that's actually fairly clever. I hope somebody actually gets that done. Because I know you don't. I was going to crack a joke about the fact that you have a hobbit tattooed on your body, and hobbits are tiny and you're not. But kind of failed miserably on that attempt at a joke. But you pulled it back. You did your own joke, made it way better than mine. So
Yep, that's what I do.
yep.
So, yeah, the Magic the Gathering's coming out with a Lord of the Rings set,
Yeah, and
in
Warhammer,
40K, and
yeah.
yeah. But that's not what this channel is about. This channel is about D&D. And I'm going to talk about D&D the entire time, and Paw Patrol. So,
Did you
let's,
see the Spider-Man movie trailer?
no, I saw the Paw Patrol movie. I
Damn.
want to talk about that.
I was trying to get you to talk about something besides D&D and or Paw Patrol.
Nope.
See, I don't have kids, so I don't even know what Paw Patrol is other than some kid show.
It's the bestest show ever. So I had a super long weekend, and it started with, I have an echo again. Man, you gotta fix your echoes. Craig, fix the echoes.
I don't think it's on my side. I think it's on your side.
Well, it
Me-
bugs me. I don't
yeah.
like it.
Well, it bugs me too because then I have to fix it in post.
Well, anyways, so I went out and I purchased a number of D&D books from an individual, who, well, I'll keep his name private. Uh, and I had Dimitri, one of my players, ride shotgun for me on the way out to this guy's house so I could buy the D&D books. I mentioned that mostly because when I got back home, my wife was making fun of me that like, oh, you guys had a bro date. Ha, ha. I was like, no, he rode shotgun. And he even made the joke that he should probably just go get a shotgun and bring it with, because we didn't know where we were going. It was
Yeah.
2 towns away in the middle of nowhere, South Carolina.
So
This dude,
you didn't do the thing that I do when I buy on Facebook Marketplace, meet at Walmart or meet somewhere public. You decided to go
no,
to their house.
he wanted to meet at the post office, and then he was going to he was going to have us follow him on his bike to his house.
That's a little sketch, but all right.
Yeah, a little sketch, but I'll allow it. So I had Dimitri ride shotgun with me, just in
Yeah.
case. You also
Yeah.
have a person there to validate that I actually did buy the things, and blah blah blah, just in
Right.
case something crazy happens. Um, and my wife goes, "It's funny that he made a joke about bringing a shotgun." I was like, "Well, yeah." She goes, "Is that a real thing? Is that a real term?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "I thought people just said that." I was like, "No, it's like a whole stagecoach thing.
Mhm.
The person's job was literally to be the guy holding the shotgun, so the carriage didn't get robbed." I was
Yep.
like, "I never knew that." So you learn something every day, folks.
Yeah. Gotta,
Yeah,
and then back in medieval times, you just, have the guy with a sword and a bow or something. Yeah.
stab him.
Hmm.
So I went out to purchase a bunch of D&D books, and they were supposed to all be second edition, and there were some fourth edition books I was going to buy as well too.
I saw the
So
list. A lot of that's first edition stuff.
So when I got out there, I was like, "That's weird. These books don't look anything like these books." But he says they're all second edition. I'm okay with it. I wanted second edition stuff and a ton of modules. So when I got home and actually looked at the stuff, turns out half of it was first edition, half of it was second edition.
Yeah.
So
Where,
I
where,
kind of mixed.
send me the link again. I wanted to look at them.
It's on our Facebook page on Grumpy Dungeon Masters.
That's where it was. I saw it.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember where I'd seen it.
So overall, I got the second monster manual for first edition. I had the first one just by chance, and I'm really excited to kind of go through and start looking through all those and kind of just reading all them.
So, you got 3 of the really useful first edition ones.
Hmm.
2 of them for certain. The Unearthed Arcana, I was always a big fan of looking through, but truthfully, it's not going to be amazing as far as you using it for what you're running now. But the other ones, the Dungeoneer Survival Guide and the Wilderness Survival Guide, those are going to be fantastic for creative ideas.
Hmm. And I just kind of just wanted them just to have them.
Yeah.
So overall, I think I made out real well, and I really am happy with what I got. So
Yeah.
overall, it was worth it. It was worth the trip. It was fun trip, and we're probably going to talk about the things that I talked about in the car with Dimitri. So I apologize in advance for him having to listen to the same rants over again.
That's fine. Every time I tell a story from my own game, it's all my players are listening to the thing they lived, and your players same thing. So yeah, suck it up, Buttercup. Yeah,
So
that's some good modules you got too.
yeah, the modules are the main thing that I wanted, and they were near impossible to price. Like I could not find any
Some of those,
reliable source online.
some of those I have never seen nor heard of.
Yeah. One of them in there was just like, "Oh yeah, this one exists. Okay, cool. How much is it worth? Money." I'm like, all right. So we had agreed on the price. There was no haggling. Just the way I want it, and
Yeah.
I was happy with it, and he was happy with it. Turns out it was his dad's stuff, not his stuff.
Oh,
He
Dragon magazines too.
Yeah, it's Dragon magazines too.
Yeah, those are reasonably early ones.
It was all his dad's stuff. So his dad played a lot of second edition, but obviously ran a bunch of first edition campaigns. So I was really excited to get all those and have all them on hand, and gonna start reading through them now when I get a chance,
Yeah.
uh, whatever that will be.
I'm glad you have a psionics handbook so that when I start talking about second edition psionics and how much better they are than the bullshit we have now, you can just look at the book.
Is that the first or second edition
That is a
Psionics?
second edition one. All of those are second edition.
Okay,
I can't tell your player's handbook. That's probably second edition.
the player's handbook is second. It says on the
Yeah,
front.
okay. But yeah, the all the orange ones, they're first ed.
Yeah, I mean that was the only book that I had that was there that had like any kind of significant damage to it.
Yeah,
My cat freaked out when I got him home. Just sniffed the crap out of them. So,
yeah.
so.
And as far as all the modules, I'm pretty sure all that's second ed. Looks like it.
So at the end of the day, I'm super happy to get all those and super happy to have those added to my collection. Feel free to look at their Facebook page and take a look at what I got. And if you have played some of those, let me know. I'd
Yeah,
like to hear.
maybe at some point I'll actually post a picture of my own collection. I'm not particularly a collector, but I still have a lot of the stuff from all over the years.
The fourth edition stuff, he had a lot of fourth edition books that I didn't have, but
Mhm.
they were all kind of like the martial power and this power. But with how fourth edition was, those were like the dumb books. Like you can't build a character in fourth edition without using the character builder because there's just too much stuff. And
Mhm.
that was the reason why there was just too much stuff. Just all those extra books just clogging up knowledge. Like you can't reference stuff. You either play with one book or you play with them all, and it's too much to keep
Third
track
edition
of.
was the same way. Like there were
Yeah.
so many books, and nearly every book that came out, the vast majority of them had prestige classes in them and magic items in them. So it was just so hard to keep up with everything.
So the guy, when I was out there talking with him, mentioned that he played some fifth and doesn't like it.
Sure,
Does
there,
not like fifth edition.
I know some people who don't
He
like fifth edition.
he had Pathfinder but he didn't like Pathfinder. He only bought the books because um, he said that that's what his friends are playing or whatever.
Yeah.
His preferred edition is fourth edition.
Wow.
Wow, right?
That's yeah. Well, that makes one person in the world.
Yeah, I would definitely say the fourth is not my preferred edition, but
Yeah, you
it.
have a nostalgia for it because it's what you started with.
I wouldn't say that. I would say fifth edition is fourth edition that's better. And he was like, "No, no, man, fifth edition's just it's all wonky and crazy and doesn't work right." And I'm like, "I don't know if you actually played fifth edition then, buddy, because like
Probably not.
it literally is the answer to all of fourth edition's problems."
Yeah.
So
You had 3.0 and then 3.5. I mean, 5th edition is effectively 4.5. You know, it's a
yeah,
correction of a lot of the problems.
then in that case it would be 4.75.
7.5, sure. However, but
Yeah. Um, and that just got me thinking about like all the different editions out there, and the fact that there's currently a survey up on the Wizards of the Coast website where they're asking for feedback on all the original classes, well, all the classes really, for Dungeons and Dragons Fifth Edition,
okay.
spurring more people to believe that they are going to be releasing a uh, sixth edition in 2024, and I've seen that multiple places that are you would consider to be reputable.
I could believe 2024 because that's, the time period sort of makes sense. That's a decade worth of time almost for 5th edition. Like, yeah, 2024 is also a few years away, but I could absolutely believe that.
Yeah, but I really don't think that they should. So one of the things that the guy had in fourth edition was basically fourth edition 4.5 edition. They
Mhm.
released a number of like revamps to how fourth edition worked in these small, not hardcover, but like soft cover, like little booklets. Okay.
Yeah.
And those were all kind of like associated with the Forgotten Realms and stuff like that. And it was a revamp of how the system worked. And I think like if they were going to do anything, they should do that. They should go with, hey, here is fifth edition with all these variant rules in place. So people complain that fifth edition isn't gritty enough. Okay, well, here's fifth edition with the gritty rules. Here's fifth edition with modern rules. Here's fifth edition with these, and release these like little booklets that change the core mechanics of fifth edition without getting rid of without making a new edition. Because I don't think that reinventing how to roll d20s is really going to be helpful right now. They should just stick with fifth edition, do the best that they can with it, and develop different variants of it instead of trying to develop a whole brand new edition to do. I've sat honestly, so like I couldn't think of anything that they could change that would, unless they were going to move away, like go to a D6 system or something crazy like that. Hmm.
I am, however, completely of two minds on this thing. On releasing a 6th edition. I'm of two completely different minds here. So from my own personal viewpoint, 5th edition is pretty damn good. It's solid, it's consistent, it plays well, and it doesn't bog down terribly. Which was, I've complained a lot about third, and it bogs down after you get higher levels. 5th edition does, but not nearly to the extent that third edition does. Like overall, it's a very good system. Um, at the same time,
Yes.
if you can, WotC is in it to make money. Period. And I'm already complaining about the money grubbing, and we haven't even started the podcast hardly. But for them to release a 6th edition gives them more opportunity to make more money because it won't necessarily bring in new people, but you're going to have people who transition over to the 6th edition. If they continue to just release more of the same stuff that they've been doing for 5th, and we're already getting a lot of complaints about it. Oh, look, Tasha's, it's just another
Hmm.
Xanathar's. Like people are already grumping that it's just more of the same stuff. So releasing a 6th edition allows them to start fresh and new, They would then sell new copies of players' handbooks, new copies of DM's guide, new copies of monster manuals. At some point, the handful of people who want to stay over on fifth edition would, but the vast majority would probably transition over to sixth, so long as sixth is really good. It's just more. I do feel it's more opportunities for them to make more money. As far as what you're saying about releasing the guides to make alterations to the game, they're not ever going to do that. I don't foresee. And a lot of that is just done on the DM's Guild. They gave people access to write their own stuff and get it published on there, and I think that's the majority you're ever going to see from that going forward.
Yeah, the whole idea, and this is what Dimitri said to me in the car, is they want to sell the players' handbooks again.
Hmm.
Obviously, that's what they
Yeah, I
want
mean
to do.
they make when you sell players handbooks, DM's guide, monster manuals, you just make money.
Right. So just release a 5.5. Don't change the system from a mechanical standpoint. Make the variants more official. Find what's wrong with some of the classes. Maybe reinvent those a little bit. Okay, but don't make a sixth edition. Yeah, the Ranger sucks. We all know the Ranger sucks. Everyone makes fun of the Ranger. We don't
Well,
need
but
a sixth
they
edition.
made another they made the other version of the Ranger. What was it, the geez? I think it was in Xanathars where they sort of reworked the Ranger, and that version of it worked fine. But yes, the player's handbook version of the Ranger is kind of
Right.
garbage.
So just release a new 5.5 version that has a better Ranger in it.
Yeah,
We don't need a sixth edition.
yeah. But if they do a sixth edition, they could. It gives them. I'm not going to say they have to do it as a sixth edition, but they could do it, and then it gives them opportunity to completely rework all of the classes to make them different. Because the wizard is kind of boring, truthfully. Rangers, as you have said, suck. Yeah, there's just a lot of things that can be reworked about most of the classes. It
Right.
also gives them opportunity to introduce more classes if they want. I don't know that they should, but if they want, they could. More races. And I know with going forward, they're going to, they're going to make all the little changes they've started to make, like removing the word race. They'll make it, you know, what is it? What's the word they
Lineage.
use for it? Yeah, they'll use lineage going forward. Like these are just changes that are going to happen, and then they could easily just implement all that stuff.
Yeah. And I get that. I think a lot there's actually probably a lot of that involved in releasing of a sixth edition as well too, drastically changing the language. But
Yeah,
maybe it's because I got into it fifth edition so late. It's kind of like, oh, I don't want it to go away. I just started. You
could
know,
be.
let me play with this some more.
Yeah, where
If you're going to sit back and say, hey, canon is only the current edition that we're publishing, and you're about to get rid of all the canon, why would I buy any of the books?
yeah.
A moment later they're just going to be useless.
That's a fair assessment. Yeah,
And on top of that, one of the books I bought from this kid was the Forgotten Realms Player's Guide, the Forgotten Realms Campaign Guide,
right.
and there is more about the Forgotten Realms in those two books than anything fifth edition has. And it made me
Yeah,
realize
imagine
that
that.
there is no Fey Run campaign guides. There's Icewind Dale, but there's nothing in there. You got to go
Yeah,
to
I've already
Storm Giants for that crap. You know?
complained about that a lot on here. The fact that they're only doing those campaign modules, and that's where all of your information about those settings is coming from, which is a terrible way to release it.
Yeah,
Third edition had a massive, massive amount of information about Forgotten Realms, and so did second edition. And I see I'm staring right now at the picture you posted of the fourth edition Forgotten Realms stuff, and yeah, I mean those books are similar. They're going to just be chock full of detailed information about those worlds, not just Sword Coast, but the entire damn world.
yeah. It essentially was the entire world. I kind of flipped through it a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, just like kind of irritates me now. Now all that's going to get pushed aside. Oh, here comes sixth edition.
I mean,
Welcome.
we're still speculating on the sixth edition thing.
It's going to happen.
I'm certain it will.
I
I
can
don't,
feel it in my bones.
I don't know about 2024. Maybe, maybe not. I could see it.
You know what?
Yeah.
I tell you what though, I'm gonna buy the stupid collector's edition version of those this time.
Oh, I think going forward, any books I buy, I'm just buying collector's edition version of them, and I'm never going to use them. They're sitting on a shelf. Probably just shrink wrap them and keep them there. That way, I can sell them for like 10 times the money 3 years later.
That's one of the things that upsets me is I have the first edition collector's edition books, and they're all still shrink wrapped. They're factory sealed. I really want to break them open and read them, but I don't want to break them open and read them at the same time. You know,
Which editions are we talking about here?
they were the collector's edition versions of first edition that they
Oh yeah,
reprinted.
that's right. They did the reprints last
Yeah,
year or the year before.
no, this is like almost a decade ago now, man.
Really?
Yeah,
Maybe when did you get a hold of them?
like a decade ago. I was still living in
Huh.
Virginia.
Oh, all right. Well, I could have maybe you just talked about it last year. I had never
I
heard about
I
that,
talk about it a lot because they're my favorite.
and you've never read them.
I've never read them. No.
Well, it was the yeah. So I guess you don't have the DM guide or the player's handbook from first edition, other than those.
Nope.
Huh. Well, conveniently, you have the second edition and the DMG for second edition, and honestly, they're very similar.
That's
Yeah,
what I
you
kind
actually
of
get to
hope.
you get to learn about Thaco. No, they are very similar. There's a few changes. I think barbarians were removed from the game. Assassin was removed from the game as playable classes, but otherwise they're real close.
Yeah.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the podcast, but apparently you guys weren't listening after the podcast, so it was totally messing up our metrics. So now I'm going to cut in and do it right now. So make sure to check us out on Instagram at
Grumpy Dungeon Masters
and on Twitter
at Grumpy underscore DMs.
and Facebook
Grumpy Dungeon Masters.
and on Twitch.
Also Grumpy Dungeon Masters.
And when do we stream on Twitch?
Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do our D&D game, which is currently an out campaign. But we also stream on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Just video games with me and Jay. And I, Christopher, stream on Friday, or I do campaign prep and other D&D related fun things.
And
Also,
maybe if you're lucky, you can find us on TikTok where Chris will do dancing or something.
oh yeah, I did open a TikTok. It's Grumpy Dungeon Master, so I'll be dancing there soon. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely gonna enjoy reading all those books. I'm really looking forward to it, and if I ever get some time, between all the modules and stuff that I'm writing and everything, and
Yeah,
I'm strapped for time.
I think we all are right now. I was working up until the point that we had to record this podcast.
Yeah, jobs,
Yep,
stupid jobs. I
got to
like my
make that
job though.
money. That's life. Ah,
So at the end of the day, I'm very happy again with what I purchased, and I'm
oh, I
looking
would be
forward
too.
to kind of reading those. I got the Dark Sun Monster Manual.
I saw that. No, that's going to be an interesting one for you. Let me know if it has the dragon in it because I saw the picture of him on the cover.
I think he is.
Yeah, because
Pretty
he's
sure.
a lot different than what you're used to. But yeah, that's the dragon from Dark Sun. There was only one of them.
His name is Fredward.
No, it was not Fredward. It was Squidward.
So I the other thing I had to do today is I took my daughter out to go see the Paw Patrol movie,
Yes.
uh, and I'm not going to go into anything that's crazy, but it was kind of funny. They one of the pups has PTSD because where they moved back to the city where he was lost and scared and stuff like that, and it was kind of interesting how they handled it for a child's movie.
Sure.
Um, but there's one pup in the show. His name is Zuma. Okay, he is the aquatic pup.
Shout out to
Now
all the Zumo fans.
Zuma. So he's his whole job is going out into the bay of Adventure Bay and saving it whenever there's like a water issue. But this whole movie is based in Adventure City, where there's no water. So the entire movie, this kid is just kind of like There's this pup is just sitting there in his stupid hovercraft, unable to do anything the entire movie.
So he's Aquaman in Kansas.
So I bring it up because uh, I had to get some new players. Stuff had come up in real life, and they had to dip out for a little while. So I had to get new players, and I was kind of thinking of the player dynamics of what I had, and that kind of got me thinking about just player dynamics as a whole. And there's always that one player who kind of just sits at the sideline, doesn't do much,
Yep.
and but they always come through in a pinch to save the day. And I was thinking about that while I was kind of watching this Paw Patrol movie with my daughter, and then I got really sad because Zuma in the show still isn't that character. It's actually a different pup called Marshall, who's the firefighter. He just sits on the sidelines, he cracks jokes, and then like there's just one episode where they all make a basketball team to fight the kitten basketball team.
Right.
Well, everyone's a basketball player except for Marshall because he's an EMT. He's a trained firefighter. He's a trained EMT. He's emergency medical response.
Yeah.
So this one little pup that does stuff in the water is absolutely useless 100% of the time, no matter what the situation is. That made me feel really bad. Have you ever had a
Yeah.
player like that just can't ever do anything at all?
I have. I do not have that with my current group, but oh, absolutely. I've had players like that. I've had players. Yeah, I've talked about the types of campaigns I run often enough. Like I tend to run relatively high powered campaigns. The stats are a little higher than normal, etc. And I expect players to truthfully build characters like that. With
Hmm.
fifth edition, it's actively hard to build a bad character with fifth ed. But earlier
Yeah.
editions, that was not the case. Third edition, you could easily build a useless fucking character, and people will do that. They'll build a role play character, which is fantastic. But my campaigns they tend to be combat heavy. So building a character that's shitty in combat is not going to work.
Well, I had a new player, and his name is John. He decided to play a
Hi,
Tortoral.
John.
He's playing a Tortolan monk. Oh,
Okay.
sorry, Tortolan cleric, and uh, so they're kind of getting used to each other. I'm kind of getting used to him as a player. He's getting used to me as a DM. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, the feeling
And
out process.
yeah, so I developed an encounter where I don't know if it was you or I think it was Dan, our buddy Dan, kind of gave me this idea to have a troll under a bridge.
Oh
So I had
yeah.
I had a troll under a bridge. I had that encounter, and it was a lot of fun because I designing it because I found this really awesome map online that was perfect for my needs, and now I got to find like got to recreate it or something because I can't use that map for when I publish.
Yeah.
Um, but it was a great little map, and it worked out perfect. And I picked up the Zandalari troll from World of Warcraft because I wanted to be like a Fey troll that looked different. It wasn't very trollish, kind of like more reptilian, more kind of
More Fey, less troll.
more Fey, more Fey, less troll. And so I had that there, and I had another player, a new player named Chris. He was going to play a Warlock Genie pact,
Nice.
and we were talking, and I had mentioned like that I would love to see more Blade Singers in the game because I really like the Blade Singer class.
Yeah.
And no one ever plays a Blade Singer. He's just like, you know what? I'm going to play a Blade Singer. So he's playing a Blade Singer, and this is like the second major encounter that they've had with me. Um, Chris sees a troll, blinds him immediately. Okay,
Yeah.
with his spells, so he is blind.
A
And
good way to
then
That's a good way to fight a troll.
and then the Tortolan monk, or sorry, Tortolan cleric, uses thaumaturgy and makes the sound of him breaking the bridge
Okay.
uh, to a blind troll. And the troll's bridge, he's very territorial. He needs his bridge to be safe. So now he's blind, and all of a sudden he just heard his bridge snap in half. And he's like, like I'm gonna break your bridge and let us cross. I was like, all right, give me an intimidation check. On top of that, I was like, use your spellcasting modifier in place of charisma because he used thaumaturgy
Yeah.
to make that happen. And he was like, "Oh, okay." He was very happy for that.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems
And
good. I mean, yeah, that's honestly, that's probably what I would have done the same there.
he rolls like a 26,
Nice.
and I roll like a 4. So this entire encounter that I had made up because I was out driving to pick up the books. I was late and kind of like really trying to design good encounters really fast with
Yeah,
very little time.
yeah. Yeah,
And I
speed
thought this one
designing.
was, yeah, speed designing. And I was thinking, and I had so much work put into this one. I was like, oh, this one's gonna be great,
New
huge,
Olympic
cool.
challenge.
And they just like, oh yeah, yeah, we're done. We role play our way out of this one. Bye. Uh,
I mean,
so
look, no, that's good. They did it right. I hate when that happens to me when I have a half hour worth of encounter planned or whatever, and it's done in 2 minutes because the players do something unexpected. But
yeah, it was great. I loved it. It's like these players are going to fit in real well with the team, and uh, yeah, we
awesome. See, that's another thing that one of my issues with fifth edition. I don't like massive amounts of modifiers like third edition had. A +2 for this, a -2 for that. I don't like all of that, but at the same time, fifth edition I think could use it a little more. Like they do not have any +2 modifiers or anything like that, other than occasional. You get like shield spell, you get +5 to AC, but they're so rare, so infrequent. In the case of the troll, if the troll hadn't completely just run away or whatever from an intimidation check, at the very least it could have been feared. And with fear, it gives it disadvantage, which it already
mhm.
has disadvantage for being blinded. You can't give it double disadvantage. So I think the game could utilize like plus or -2 modifiers to attack rolls and shit like that occasionally for stuff like that.
Yeah, because a lot of that is hidden behind the text of the system.
Hmm.
Like that stuff is there, but you have to know like okay, player, like you have to play with the rules like your players give monsters cover. So there's the -2 there.
Yeah.
And stuff like
Yeah,
that.
but that's really
It
only it's really only in like the cover modifiers that I can think of. They're the pluses and minuses are very infrequent in fifth edition.
Yeah, the whole banding AC thing is just it kind of worked and kind of didn't at the same time.
Banding AC.
The with how AC worked in 5th edition, where everyone like no one's better than a 20 or 24.
Oh yeah, yeah. Where everything, no matter what you're wearing, with your dex bonuses and stuff, you're pretty much all
Yeah,
equivalent. If you're all the best you can get, you're still roughly the same.
yeah. So I mean, it kind of worked, it kind of didn't at the same time.
Hmm.
Um,
It makes the game bland, is what it is, because everybody's the same.
kind of, yeah. But at the same time, you could also instead of doing 6th edition, you could have 20 to 30. Break that can
I,
of worms open.
I know how to make sixth edition. Let's fucking bring back Thaco.
Um, well, the thing I really liked about 4th is
See, you
I
just
like
ignored that and moved on.
I did. Well, actually, I remind me after this. I want to come back around to that.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I'll try to remember the ADD guy here.
uh, what I really like about 4th edition, what I really like about a lot of different RPGs out there is I like the players rolling a lot of die. 4E was a trudge of die rolls and modifiers and just crap like that, and it was unfun. But one thing that I liked about it is that there wasn't savings. There wasn't saving throws. It was just, hey, I'm gonna do this spell that hits your wisdom. Instead of giving me a wisdom save, I'm going to attack your wisdom. Here's my roll to attack your wisdom.
Yeah.
Um, I like that. I like that aspect of like this is what I'm aiming for, kind of
Okay.
thing.
So instead of the player making a save, the person makes an attack against
Yeah,
that stat instead. So it's
yeah,
effectively the same thing as a save. It's just a different person rolling it.
yeah. And I like players rolling a lot of dice. So, and I think that's what keeps people engaged. But
Hmm.
that was one of the biggest complaints of 4th edition is like, where'd my saving throws go? it went to that mechanic. They
Yeah.
took it
It
away.
didn't go anywhere. It was the
Yeah.
same from what it sounds like. It's just the DM was rolling it now instead of the player.
Well, the player's rolling it now instead of the DM.
Well, if your NPC was attacking a player with a spell against their wisdom, you would be the one rolling the die as an attack roll, correct?
Yeah, if I'm hitting you with a wisdom spell, I'm
Right.
rolling an attack.
Yeah. So it
Yeah.
just changed it. Whereas in fifth edition and every other edition, the player would be the one rolling that saving throw.
Yeah.
It's literally the same thing as fifth edition, just swapping who rolls the dice.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's one of the positives, I guess. But no one liked it. Because
Yeah. I
where'd
mean,
my thing go?
yeah, it's a weird change that didn't need to happen, and they just changed it back to fifth. Fifth edition uses the same stats. You're attacking a stat, and it's just the player rolling it instead of the DM, or vice versa.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, uh, mm, I've completely forgot what I was talking about.
Well, you wanted to
Um,
come back to Thaco.
oh, coming back to Thaco.
I can't believe
Uh,
I remembered.
part of the stuff that I bought was his dad's DM binder. He just gave me that.
Hmm.
So I have all of his dad's NPCs. I guess they're mine now. My NPCs. I made this.
Mines.
Uh, I have all of his NPCs, all of his player characters. I have all of his dungeons, all of his notes, all of his crazy stuff that he was building and stuff like that. I have all that now.
And a 1992 spring summer TSR catalog.
That catalog is the best thing on the face of the planet. I looked through it, I think 5 times already. It's amazing. I was like, I need to order half this stuff.
Yep, I want
Uh,
all of it. And unfortunately, most of it's like $50 to $100 on eBay now.
and I was when I was going through his binder, there's just all these like just tables of uh like weird number charts. And I was like, what the hell is all this stuff? And then it clicked. It's like, oh, these are his taco tables.
Hmm.
I was like, oh my god, this is horrible. I don't want to play this edition ever.
No, Thaco
It's
is
just
not bad at
pages
all.
upon pages upon pages of, oh look, here's how I can hit the armor class of these. Here's the range. I'm like, that's just way too much math. That's
No,
just
Thaco
that's a lot
Thaco
of
is
math.
not hard at all. People like to think it is, and it's a weird system. It's not, it's not intuitive necessarily, but it is not difficult. Mind you,
Yeah.
what they have now is much. It's just much more straightforward. It's people's brains work properly that way.
Well, I don't know what intuitive is, but it looked hard.
It's not. It's not. Now a frenzied berserker from third edition, that's difficult. You need fucking trigonometry tables to do that shit.
So, a lot of good books. I was really happy with all those. A lot of good new players. I'm really happy with them as well too. And all in all, things are looking up for the old Chris Meister.
Nice. Oh, since we're sort of all in the second edition, first edition stuff, and this was something that Panda brought up the other day, that
Who's Panda?
Reverend Panda, the other grumpy dungeon master, you know,
I want to make sure. I want to make sure that he actually gets called out because he's like, "Why didn't you guys call and talk to me about it?" I'm like, we do.
oh,
You
okay.
just
Well,
don't
yeah,
listen to the podcast.
I'm talking about you right now, of which you're not going to hear it, but we'll probably tell you on Tuesday that we talked about you on the podcast. But he mentioned during our last gaming stream about the fact his characters are level ranges,
Hmm.
uh, which I'm pretty sure you've never done that. I haven't utilized level ranges, God, since second edition.
I
Y-
did when experience was granted based on
Okay,
not milestones.
yeah. I've gotten to a point, like by third edition, I had just gotten to a point. Even if I was doing XP, I would do group XP. So if somebody wasn't there for a game session, or somebody, oh, this person did something epic, whatever, I'm just giving everybody the XP for it, because it's weird and difficult to run a campaign where you have somebody who's seventh level and somebody who's fourth level in the same party. Like, you don't necessarily want that. It harkens back to the older editions, and there's something nostalgic about it, But as far as running a game as a DM, it's way difficult because then you run into the issues, especially with fifth, where everything is sort of statted, very directly. This is what it's supposed to be. If you have people who are on those variant ranges of levels, it's just a nightmare to stat everything properly and not kill the party.
Well, I know like with D&D Beyond, it does a real good job with their encounter builder. I know there's a what's it called,
Old
Kobold
press.
something, not Kobold Press. There's a Kobold. It creates encounters at the appropriate CR ranges that you need.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
Um,
Look, truthfully, I guess I could just figure out what the CR is by adding all the party number together, if finding the median or whatever. But it's still it just
it feels
people.
like it's a lot of work that I don't want to do or have to worry about.
Yeah,
I understand the grittiness of it, but at the end of the day, that's why I just have basically just gone to milestones 100%,
yeah.
because I'm telling a story. I don't want people to. The story I have is finite. If I was running this big long campaign, like if I ever get a chance to start developing my big homebrew world, I'd probably not run that milestone, um, because it's not a story. It's you're living here. What are you doing, kind of thing.
Yeah,
And I'd run that differently, but I just don't have time to manage all that crap.
yeah. I
Essentially,
I think with me running XP and everything else, I was younger at the time. I just had more free time to do things, and I was way more focused and devoted to Dungeons and Dragons on my day to day life.
yeah,
And much older now, and I'm very busy at the moment. I'm able to put together what I'm running, but I'm not going to sit here and hash out anymore whether or not you get 200 XP from this thing and 400 from this and add it all up and shit, did you make a level? No, well, I'm continuing my story whether you made a level or not. And oh, look, you're too low level now because, that's how XP works.
yeah. And like I said, I don't think I don't, well, if, since I'm running a story, I don't think that's fair to the players.
Hmm.
But I know Panda is running a campaign world. He's running his campaign world,
Yep.
so that's why I think it works for him in his environment.
I think I honestly, I don't even think it's that. I truthfully think it's just that's what he's used to and that's what he wants to do. Nothing
Maybe.
wrong with it, but it is extra work. Panda, I do think devotes a lot more time into the number crunching of the game than we do.
Yeah,
So,
and he also has a lot more free time.
yeah, yeah, he has more free time as well. So,
That helps a lot.
yeah,
So,
yeah. For any other dungeon masters that are listening that want to comment about this, just hit us up on Facebook or something. Because I'd be curious whether or not people use XP, use milestones, and whether or not, if you're using XP, do you have level ranges? Do you have some characters who are 12th level and some characters who are 10th level in a party? Because I haven't seen it in years. And then when Panda brought it up, it just was like, oh, yeah, that is a thing, isn't it?
well, when we were doing the Star Wars game, when you were still part of it,
Mhm.
that DM Eric, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna do XP for all you guys,"
He did XP
and
every, yeah, yeah.
yeah, he's still doing XP every week, but we're all just the same XP range. So,
Right. Which is how
I,
I did it when I was using XP. I
so
just
at
put
what point in
everybody
time
same level.
is it just like everybody's just the same level and just go with milestones and call it a day?
Yeah. It was basically handing out XP, but everybody just levels at the same rate no matter what. So,
Yeah. So it's just another thing that I don't need to manage. I don't.
yep.
I tried doing XP for a little bit, and just like it's just another number I have to take care of. Just like the stupid breakable uh, gear that I had in Rime of the Frost Maiden. It worked for like 4 sessions, and then everyone was just bored of it, and we never touched it again.
Yeah. It was a good thought and neat attempt, and I'm sure some people who are super number crunchy would love it. But
Yeah.
we're older. We got other stuff we have to deal with. So you got
So
you got a kid, you got a job, a wife. Me,
I
I'm
gotta
just
go see the
I'm
Paw
just
Patrol movie.
yeah. Now I'm just working all the time at the moment. So
Paw Patrol, Paw Patrol, be there on the double. It's catch
I
your tongue. It's stuck in your head forever.
fair enough. I'm glad I don't have kids. I have, however, seen lots of the Paw Patrol plush toys out there
Hmm.
at at all these stores I've been going to. So
Whenever they make a G-rated movie, they always have jokes for the parents,
oh, you have to. Parents would go
and
insane watching stupid
and
kids
that
movies.
and one thing I've always brought up with them, and it goes for any show that has kids doing heroic things with like a seemingly endless budget available to them. Uh, they go from like their little small town where they already have 15,000 vehicles each and a massive base
Got
and air fortress.
That Tony Stank money.
And so I was just thinking like, okay, so they move to the city and all of a sudden there's a skyscraper new building that they have. They somehow have gotten it so that the street that they deploy their vehicles into can get like lighted off. Like how do you get clearance? How do you go through the government to get like the the ability to do all that crap? And they actually answered it in the movie. It was the funniest joke is they walk into the new thing and one of the pups goes, "Wow, this is really cool. How did you pay for all this?" And then the kid turns around, the main human kid turns around, and he's holding all this Paw Patrol merchandise in his hands, and he goes, "Paw Patrol merchandise!" It sells out everywhere,
Perfect.
and I
Oh,
just started dying laughing.
that's so good. That's so
I'm
good.
like, "You're gonna call a spade, I guess."
Yep. No, that's fantastic. It's a lot of movies just don't even put the effort into it. At least they can joke about it. The fact that they're not going to put a lot of effort into it.
So I was just, man. But yeah, that got me. Like I said, that got me thinking about the useless players or the players that don't do anything, and my good new players, and just
I'm
such
glad
a
you were
busy
able to
weekend.
find. I'm glad you found players as quickly as you did. And apparently, you got good ones.
Well, I've had a lot of people ask.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to hear.
I can't bring everybody in, but I definitely try my best.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know we got a lot of friends who would love to D&D with us when the time presents itself. So,
Yep, you just gotta have your weekends free.
yeah,
100%,
yeah. Or 95% free at least.
115%.
I don't think that math adds up.
Your math is wrong.
Well, that's probably also true.
So overall, it's just
So
I'm really happy where this Al campaign is going. I'm very curious as to how it's going to end. I don't have the end of the story written yet, so
well,
I'm kind of scared as
get
well.
on that.
I'm
Have
actually
you
getting
ever run like a festival type game in D&D before?
no.
So we did
Well,
that.
I mean,
Go ahead.
there was a time in Waterdeep where they had a festival.
Hmm.
Um, I because the Waterdeep book is actually pretty good with lore about Waterdeep,
Yeah.
and I had mathed them out that they started here, and we were kind of going through a certain time range every once in a while. There's a lot of downtime that happened, and one of the things that I did is when Halloween came around, I really liked Halloween from the Waterdeep perspective, so I made sure Halloween happened to them, and I basically had a bunch of um kids dressed up in like the different outfits come running by and get treats from the the Troll Skull Manor people, which was Beholder Skull Manor because they had all these Beholder skulls outside, and it was cute. It was fun. And then the bad guy showed up,
And
dressed
ruined
up in costumes,
everything.
and that ruined everything. But it was good. It worked out
Yeah.
real well.
I
And
know less about the festival and just more about the competitions is what I was thinking of. So like I know in Icewind Dale they had the one sort of football game that you could get into, or a couple. Actually, I think yeah, there was also the one I never ran in Icewind Dale with the yeah, what do they call them? stone guys, the one that
The
Paladrin
Goliath?
is. Goliath, thank you. Like
Yeah.
yeah, Goliath Village had some competitions, and then there was one right near the end of the actual campaign where you could play sort of a football game, but it was so poorly done. It was just roll some dice, and it was just high roll wins type thing over and over and over and over until you complete the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I
no real thought into it.
so when I was doing the Owl campaign, um, when I was running it at the Green Dragon store.
Mhm.
One of the guys is like, "Hey, I want to have a competition with somebody. What games are around here in the Owl Village?" And I just let them make up their own game, which turned out just to be Joust, the old Atari game. They
Oh,
just
hey, yeah,
charge
that's cool.
charge at each other in the air, and whoever gets knocked to the ground is the loser. And it was a owl person versus a Goliath, oddly enough.
Huh.
And so he basically swung on a rope to get to the other guy, and that was the whole game.
Well, that's a interesting take on it.
It was very funny. It was like I said, it was essentially Joust.
Yeah. I bring it up because we actually did that in Johnny's game last night, where we were at a city and it happened to be a festival going on, but we actually all got to compete in different games that were sort of suited to our different talents. One of them was an archery contest. There was a calligraphy contest. We did the Iaido contest. Yeah, if you're not familiar, Iaido, it's basically a sword fight, a sword duel. And
Mhm.
one of the nice things about the Oriental Adventures is they actually have legitimate rules for for Iaido contest or for an Iaido duel.
Oh,
Like
cool.
yeah, there's multiple phases of the fight. The first one is the stance, and it's basically you just roll the die, add your uh, attack modifier to it and your proficiency modifier to it, and that's going to be your initiative, is what it is. So the second round of it is the focus phase, where if you roll an, I think it was an insight check. If you roll a 15 or higher, you get to know what the other person's initiative was. If you get a 20 or higher, you get to know what level they are. So yeah, you actually can garner information about your opponent with that. And after that second round, because it's feudal society, somebody can bow out. If they know that they're losing on initiative and they're lower level than this guy, you can bow out. There's no honor loss, and the other person would be the victor. And that did happen a couple of times last night during that duel. And then the third phase is the strike phase. Whoever had the highest initiative gets to roll an attack roll, a single attack roll, do the standard damage that we do, and then you add your initiative from the stance also into damage. So that first strike's gonna fucking hurt.
Mhm.
Uh, and if you're still standing after that, then you just go into combat as per normal. But like it's a three-step actual phase for a competition.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
it's pretty cool. I am a fan of it. I really like the fact they have it, and you can also utilize that in duels. It doesn't have to be in a competition. If you're out on the field of battle and you come across another samurai, yeah, and you guys decide, well, fuck it, let's sword fight. Here you go. Here's how you do it.
Hmm. Yeah, there. I think in Waterdeep, the only thing that the competition wise that they had is something I added in for go kart race because they mentioned that there was go karting that happened.
Go
So
karting? How the fuck do you go karts
it.
in like medieval fantasy?
Sorry, I said go kart. It's more like pony pulling like the Roman.
Okay, charioteering.
Yeah, charioteering. It was like pony version of that.
Yeah, okay.
Um, well, I mean, they could do go karts. They have freaking robots, so
Oh,
I
fair
mean,
enough. Oh
what
yeah,
choice?
yeah. That's are we talking Forgotten Realms here? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they could do go karting. So essentially, people came
Fucking
around and like
gnomes.
people are coming around like, hey, we want you to fund our little racing. What do you want to call it? What do you want it to be? And they try to convince them to fund it, and they did, I think. And I had a little
Huh.
chart that they had, like, how much money they gave in or
They
how
bought
much
in on a
time.
NASCAR team? Because that's what it
Yeah,
sounds like. They bought in
yeah,
on
they
a
did.
NASCAR team.
They didn't win though.
But it would I guess it'd be Gnome's car.
Gnome's car. But it was interesting just to kind of have that happen.
No, that's cool. Those are little side things that I find interesting. I hate the fact that it's fucking, NASCAR or whatever, but yeah, charioteering or even, jousting or things that fit the setting. I love that idea. I love the little side adventures, even if there's no combat, they take 5 minutes. Stuff like that's cool. It adds flavor to the world and to the game.
Well, that was actually one thing that Dimitri mentioned with sixth edition is that there's not a lot to do with downtime in fifth edition.
Oh God, no.
Xanathar added some, but it's
Yeah.
just not there. It's not written in anywhere.
Yeah, second edition. Oh my god. Like a third of all that stuff that you're going to read is downtime stuff, or it can be. Like there was options for downtime stuff.
Yeah. So going back to the original point, yeah, they could just expand downtime as well instead of
I would love to see a book.
rewriting
I
everything.
really would love to see a book about that. It's just that sort of the campaign designs, especially with the ones that are written, they don't give you downtime options.
Yeah,
Yeah, they just don't. The
they don't
second
take a
edi-
moment to breathe.
right, the second edition modules, a lot of them, some of, I won't say a lot of them, but some of them did have downtime sort of built in. It was almost expected that between the modules, your characters are taking months off.
I wonder if a lot of that gets cut on the editing room floor
Yeah, it
nowadays
does. It definitely does.
because hey, we need a streamlined book. We got to keep them rolling through this because the next one's right behind us.
Yep. It's
And
I think it's kind of the difference of releasing a 250-page campaign book as opposed to the old first and second edition ones where it's 50 pages.
yeah,
They're what they're writing now are these big sort of long epics, whereas the other ones they were technically big long epics, but they were broken up into chapters.
yeah. So I mean that may be part of the reason.
Yeah.
Seems
uh,
weird.
yeah, you can still utilize the downtime, but there's not much information out on it in fifth edition, and you have to write your campaign with that in mind. I'm trying to do that now with my own campaign, but even yeah, my players are still sort of going from point to point to point to point. So I'm having to try to find those moments to give them downtime to do things like that.
Maybe that should be the good book. Call it the B sides, where all it is basically you just your side stories you can run during your main campaign.
Oh yeah, I need shit. Thank you for reminding about that. I need to write up something for one of my players. He missed a game session or a couple of game sessions, so I'm having to write up what his character got up to while the other characters are off adventuring.
Which character was this?
Noodle, the gnome wizard, my buddy Michael Horn, the one who posts on our page occasionally.
Oh, just to call it all your players. I thought one of your players ordered one of the Grumpy Dungeon Masters for 1 year anniversary kits.
Yep.
None of them did. Actually, it was my new player Chris that did.
Oh,
So
okay.
ha ha,
Okay.
your
Uh,
players suck. Mhm.
I'm not going to call out who it was. They told me about this. They actually thought they ordered from you, and then found out they didn't. So one of
Oh,
my
I see.
one of my players thought they had ordered, and then ended up not doing it. But yeah, hey, anybody who wants some Grumpy Dungeon Masters dice and stuff, we still have some on the website. Check it out. Order your GDM
Yeah,
dice. They are pretty sweet. I've been using them to roll fireballs on my players, and they do a lot of damage.
they do a lot of damage. They are specifically weighted to always roll sixes for DMs and ones for players.
Yep, it's a true
Uh, but
story.
but all you got to do is just make a successful deception check, and you can just tell the die at your the DC is like 4, so you pretty much just always just say, "Hey, I'm a DM," and you'll just roll sixes.
So it's good for players too. I
So
think we're done here.
no, Speaking of D6s rolling sixes, the Star Wars system, the guy that takes just massive liberties with uh, the design of the game and making fifth edition a different version. He pretty much has a whole different version of fifth edition as Star Wars 5e.
Oh, yeah,
The fact the
it's
fact that I'm buying augments to change my sneak attack die right now for my rogue is 8d12.
oh, that's some third edition shit right there.
It is so broken. It's just like, oh, who can get the highest crit? Ha ha ha! What'd you crit? Is that 16d12? That's better than a blaster from the Star Destroyer. Oh,
That's enough to kill a crate dragon.
it is, it is, it is ludicrous. Oh, it is just insane. I love it. I love that it's all insane, but
Yeah.
it is just utterly insane. The amount of stuff that I can do with that stupid thing. Although I am a glass cannon, as I did complain about that last week.
Yeah. Yep. Especially when things get to make all of their attacks on reactions.
uh, I don't know. I think I told you that. It's like, hey, I loaded my rogue. It's now essentially a 5 paladin and 11 rogue.
Yep.
And I said, yeah, I'm a 5 paladin now, so now I get an extra attack. But unfortunately, my extra attack only works on my turn. I made the joke last week. I don't care.
It's good to be the DM.
Yeah, it is. All right, goodbye.
Bye, Craig.